Welcome to today's deep dive. Our topic today is actually a pretty radical shift in how we evaluate higher education. So we are pulling from a handbook called the Pramod Effect GASR 2.0.
Right, which stands for a Global Accreditation System for Rankings.
Yeah, by Dr. Pramod Ambadasrao Pawar. And, our mission for you today is to explore this entirely new framework. It basically wants to completely stop ranking universities by research outputs and will instead judge them on peace, coexistence, and planetary survival. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, to really understand why this framework argues that university accreditation needs, like, a total rewrite, we have to look at the fatal flaw of the current system. Because traditional models measure what is produced, but not why it actually matters.
Right, so imagine you were looking for a new restaurant, right? But the only review you can find ranks them entirely by how many plates they own.
The plates.
Literally just a massive stack of plates, not the quality of the food at all. And that is exactly how we currently rank prestigious universities. I mean, we measure the volume of research papers published or the size of their endowments.
Yeah, or just the square footage of the labs. We completely ignore the actual flavor of what they are producing, like whether those institutions are actually fostering equity or environmental survival. What's fascinating here is how GASR 2.0 solves this. Because if we aren't counting plates anymore, how do you actually measure a university's true impact?
Well, that brings us to the framework's 100-star system. It is divided into 5 unique dimensions, worth 20 stars each. And the author uses very specific terminology here to show this sort of widening circle of responsibility.
Exactly. So you start with MONIFY.
Right, which measures how well a school addresses immediate local human needs. Then HOMIFY scales that up to national concerns like justice and inclusion.
And then it expands globally. SEEDIFY evaluates global peace and unity, but, and this is wild, it doesn't stop with humans.
PITIFY.
Yeah, PITIFY. It measures non-human coexistence, so literally how a school protects animals and biodiversity. And finally, ENVIRONIFY judges their impact on planetary ecology.
I mean, rating a university on how well it treats local wildlife is, a massive paradigm shift from just counting library books.
Absolutely. But if we are shifting to measure highly subjective values like peace and coexistence, you have to ask how we actually score that reliably without just guessing.
Right, which brings up the Transcendent Principle.
Yes, symbolized by the equation MT squared equals 0. MT stands for materialistic or technocratic measurement.
Wait, why squared though?
Because materialistic metrics like wealth and publication volume, they compound on each other exponentially. The framework argues we literally have to multiply that compounding technocratic focus by 0 to just start fresh. So to actually measure the human impact, they use a really unusual 90-10 split for scoring.
Meaning 90% of the accreditation score is based on human evaluation, and only 10% relies on artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to push back on that a little bit. Isn't relying 90% on human evaluation dangerously subjective? Like, we love hard data because it's supposedly neutral. If a panel of humans is deciding if a school is peaceful enough, doesn't that open the door to massive bias?
Well, the framework actually anticipates that. The 10% AI component isn't just ignored. It acts as a rigid verifier for the raw data.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so the AI runs the plagiarism checks, it verifies carbon footprints, confirms international agreements are active, but the human panels are required to assess the lived impact.
So the AI acts as a lie detector for the raw metrics, but the humans act as the compass to evaluate if those metrics actually improve lives. That prevents a cold AI technocracy.
Exactly. And because this scoring system is so rigidly defined, applying it to the framework's own handbook triggers a deeply paradoxical turn. It introduces the zero principle, symbolized as 1 minus 1 equals 0, representing perfect equilibrium.
Because when the GASR 2.0 handbook scores itself using its own metrics, it gives itself a failing grade of 20 out of 100.
Right. This raises an important question. Why does the creator fail his own framework?
Well, because the book itself doesn't have a physical campus, right? So it intentionally fails its own MONIFY metric because it doesn't serve local human needs. And it fails HOMIFY because it has no national borders. It only earns stars in the global SEEDIFY dimension because it is a universal idea.
It literally nullifies its own material identity, the whole 1 minus 1 equals 0 thing, to serve purely as a catalyst for a movement.
It's like a legendary sports coach who never actually plays in the game but builds world champions. The blueprint steps aside so the universities can score the points.
Beautiful way to put it.
So what does this all mean? Well, for you, it fundamentally changes the value of a prestigious degree in the future. It shifts the focus from raw knowledge accumulation and a elite networking to a heavy expectation of global responsibility.
Yeah, if GASR 2.0 catches on, future employers might not just ask what you learned, but how your education healed a community or protected an ecosystem.
Leaving you with a final thought to mull over. If your own daily life were audited under the GASR 2.0 framework today, how many stars would you earn in PITIFY or ENVIRONIFY? Are you just stacking up plates, or are you actually making a meal worth eating?